Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome. This is Immunize Wisely, and I am Jenna Shaputis. Ingrid Castle asked me to fill in for her tonight, and I am honored and privileged to do that task. And today is April 22nd, 2023. And what's special about today is it's Earth Day. And so it was kind of just a chance that I got to fill in on Earth Day. And it does have a history that I want to share with you guys. And I also invited on two guests because the theme of Earth Day is all about the environment. And what we have been seeing lately of the big plans of how the world around us is being transformed in the name of climate, equity, sustainability, and all of those communitarian word phrases that are just common throughout the entire world, especially since this COVID era starting about 3 years ago. So the two guests that I invited on have a lot of personal, passionate investment of understanding what's going on, and they are outspoken activists. I invited on Scott, James Scott Mackillop, who has been on before, but I also got Tony Pantelleresco to come on. And I am really excited to have this conversation with these two phenomenal people that yeah, they're looking deeper into what's going on, and they are highly vocal. James Scott, we'll call him Scott tonight. He is in Canada, Ottawa, Canada, and is a bookstore owner. And we interviewed him twice here on RBN because he did a deep dive into Canadian research tank of Policy Horizons and started digging what's going in this jab, where are we being led. And when he started saying, it's in the food, it's in the shots, it's in everywhere, it's in everything. I've been listening to Tony Pantelleresco for a decade now. And um Tony has been outspoken for 15 years, and I'm like, wow, this is a great opportunity to introduce the two and share more, because consistently Tony has been putting out information. He has a massive library and website on everything nano. You didn't even know what to ask about. And I spent the past couple of days diving into some of those files. They're extensive, they're already in the chat, and I highly encourage everyone to get, if you can, just take the time to sign in to the Immunize Wisely chat room, and that's www.immunizewisely, and it's with Z's. IMMUNIZEWIZELY.chatandgo.com. Chatango.com. We already have quite a bit of information stacking up in there. It's a great takeaway to what we're going to talk about tonight. I think Tony said he was going to be signing into the chat as well. I see Charlie Finn and I see Mer Bailey, and I hope Tony will be signing in soon. Our board op, Frank, thank you so much. He was going to call both of our guests, and he'll let me know when they are on. And in the meanwhile, I just want to back up to the original Earth Day celebration. And that happened in 1970. And it just coincidentally happened to be a year after the initial Club of Rome had their first meeting. And for those people that have been around and researching how the controllers have been using their networks to make things happen in their design, the Club of Rome is on the list, along with the Council of 300, the Tavistock Institute, MK Ultra, for the culture creation of the Aquarian age. So you can see the relationship to what's going on. Well, I started looking at the original Earth Day, and I dug up a 1970 Walter Cronkite um, news flash of what was happening in all these major cities like Boston, New York, Chicago, LA, and the thousands and thousands of people that gathered in the name of Earth justice. We see that now more than ever with all of the environmental, social governance, with the corporate crony capitalism. But earthday.org now, 2023, is the biggest leader in environmental of uh, justice that there is. And if you look at the partners and stakeholders, it's the UN, it's ICLEI, it's ESGI, it's like all the acronyms you can imagine that have agreed with their environmental, social governance, sustainability. This is Agenda 21 taking shape and running wild, but how it worked on the psychological level in the population. So Frank, if you don't mind queuing up that one clip that I sent you on Earth Day so we can hear Walter Cronkite, and the visuals we can describe, but hopefully by that time we'll have our guests on and they can comment and we'll take off our conversation tonight.
The gravity of the message of Earth Day still came through. Act or die. Good evening. A unique day in American history is ending, a day set aside for a nationwide outpouring of mankind seeking its own survival. Earth Day. A good part of the effort to make this Earth Day a success was concentrated, of course, in the major population and pollution centers. We have a report on several of the big cities, beginning with Robert Shackney in Boston.
It had been a small and, it seemed, a thoroughly peaceful, non-disruptive demonstration. Students finishing Earth Day with what they called a die-in at Boston's Logan Airport. Coffins to symbolize the problems of airport and airplane pollution. It wasn't clear why the state police ordered the demonstrators out, but they were leaving when, for no visible reason, trouble. The police charging the crowd, seizing the coffins, pushing those who moved too slowly, and arresting 13. There had been talk in advance of crowds of thousands, of attempts to disrupt the airport, but that didn't happen. This crowd, just a few hundred, had seemed orderly and nonviolent.
So uncalled for, no chance was given. People were trying to get up. They were really trying, and incredible. They didn't give them a chance. The kid was right about the door.
Earth Day in Logan Airport. Police arrests disorder. Robert Shackney, CBS News, Boston.
For 2 hours, fashionable Fifth Avenue was off limits to automobiles and became a crowded pedestrian mall. Autos were banned on busy 14th Street, too, and thousands of persons jammed into Union Square to attend an Earth Day rally. The square hadn't looked this clean in years, with volunteer help doing the sprucing up. It was a fun day for many school-age youngsters participating in their very first demonstration. There were dozens of exhibits, including this block-long air bubble, to prove how quiet it can be in a busy city. The two streets that were blocked off provided islands of quiet. The quality of the air improved, but you didn't have to go far to find Manhattan as it really is. Morton Dean, CBS News, New York.
Welcome, sulfur dioxide. Hello, carbon monoxide.
In terms of air pollution, Chicago ranks close to the top nationally, which isn't much to sing about, but that they did at a mass rally in the Loop to mark Earth Day.
Hello?
Over 4,000 persons came to listen to the singing and the speeches, much less than what was expected. Among the recommendations to improve the environment, the establishment of pollution courts to quickly try offenders, and the elimination of the internal combustion engine, a suggestion no doubt aimed at purifying the city's often choking atmosphere. Mike Pappas, CBS News, Chicago.
Thousands of students demonstrated at colleges and universities throughout the West. At Caltech, while others did the talking, one toddler was doing his own bit to protect the environment. Another speaker who vowed as a college girl never to bear children and who works now with Planned Parenthood, Stephanie Mills.
I think that it's terribly important for us to begin to involve ourselves in politics so that we can turn the system around. If we got together to dump Nixon, we might end up with nothing, but I think that may be worth a try. Obviously, this administration is being utterly hypocritical in its attempts to deal with environmental pollution. Obviously. $1 billion a year is what Walter Hickel is talking about spending cleaning up water pollution. Now, 80 times that is what we're spending to defoliate Southeast Asia and to incinerate Southeast Asians. This has got to come to a halt.
Okay, well, there's a little glimpse of where we were in 1970, and we saw people marching around with gas masks on, and I'm hearing a little hissing. Are we coming in here? Okay, I'm just going to keep on talking. I'm hoping the producer can bring on Tony Pantelleresco, and the name is in the his telephone number is in the Skype message from this morning. Tony Pantelleresco and James Scott. They are my guests tonight.
Hear me? I hear you.
James, are you there? Hello?
I'm here. I've been here. I've been listening.
Oh, excellent. Okay, great.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome. Welcome on Earth Day, both of you. Let's talk the environment, and let's talk about what's in the environment. Because I think that the onslaught and all of the issues with the climate and health are more due to nanotoxicology and what has been weaponized against us as opposed to Earth-caused climate change. Tony, what do you got to say?
Earth-caused climate change. Wow. I'd say we'd have to go back to Al Gore and his bullshit. That's what I'd have to say. We've been inundated with so much stuff. I mean, okay, environment, we really have to, I think, in my mind, expand that more, because when you're talking towers, frequencies, Wi-Fi, smart meters, okay, then you got normal pollutants from factories and manufacturing companies, and then you got pollutants from the chemtrails, and you got pollutants from the corporations and the banks and the pharmaceutical industry that have been dumping genetics. It's a vast variety of components now. It's not just nano. Nano is a player, but look, in 1970, they started putting GMOs into the ground. That affected the ecosystem, that affected the water, that affected the endocrine systems of all the life that was exposed to it, including ours. You know, the concept of GMO at the time was it's going to take less resources, better yields. And it turned out to be the complete opposite. We're using more water, corrupting life, and then that changed over. And then we find out, in 2013, they started putting mRNA into the food supply, and by 2015, it was widespread. So when we're talking pollution, that's not including the plastics we've dumped into the ocean, not us per se, but the plastics we've dumped into the ocean. The root cause of all pollution are bankers, corporations, billionaires in the WEF. That's the root cause of it. They made their money by only allowing us to have technology that wasn't clean, by regulating us to take whatever they wanted for us to use rather than the things that we should have used. I mean, look at the automobile industry. The internal combustion engine is outdated, but the electric motor car produces 8 times more pollution than the industrial combustion engine. So, again, why aren't we using hydrogen, or why aren't we using some other means of propelling our vehicles that doesn't pollute? Again, pollution, environmental toxicology. It goes all the way back goes all the way back to, like I say, your corporations, your pharmaceutical industry, your military-industrial complex. The general person, the average Joe, has nothing to do with the Earth's environment at all. Never had a choice, never had a say. This is what you were given, this is what you had to use because you had to keep the billionaires. So that's my comment on the whole pollution thing. It's, again, not the GP's fault. It's the people that were in charge of these products that they were marketing that weren't regulated, that bought off and paid off politicians to look the other way. Well, they kept on making their billions and expanding the poisoning of the planet.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, do you have a comment to that?
Can I add a comment to that?
Yes, please.
I would say that all this nanotech, just like you said, I'd say it's in the air, it's in the food supply, it's everywhere now. I've just started to research this stuff, but from my research, just like Tony says, it's been in these places well before I started to research the subject.
Right. Now, what stands out with you is that as a bookstore owner, lots of people coming through your store on a college campus next to a coffee shop, and there's a lot of young people coming in, some that have been jabbed, but you're still communicating with a host of people and bringing them up to speed on the current affairs and kind of giving them insights to policy horizons. You're interacting with some of these people, and there is a turnaround that you've seen with at least people's perspective broadening. Now, as far as their health or if they're going to survive, that's another thing, but you're still interacting with a bunch of people. And I really do appreciate that you're able to wake people up. I also see on the call, we have Aman Jabi, and this is a great surprise, but Aman, do you want to speak up and share your opinion about Earth Day? Okay, maybe he is not on the phone, but I see his name there. Okay. Okay, maybe he is not there. So the lack of regulation. And after I went to Tony's site, and that is Augment and Force at 50webs.com. It's in the chat room. I was seeing that, yeah, there has been no oversight or regulation on the lab-grown creation of nanotechnology. And in my perspective, how much I know that there's a categorization of chemical, biological, optical, mechanical, and magnetic. And in Tony's world, he has come up with innovation using magnetism and electricity to understand how to get this stuff out of the human body.
Oh wow. That's amazing. I could.
Oh, wait, we are coming up to a break right now. I'm sorry, this is going to get cut. When we get back, Tony, I would love for you to comment on your process of how you've come up with some solutions to this.
Extendivite, a 7-herb combination of garlic, cayenne, hawthorn, bilberry, ginkgo biloba, valerian, and milk thistle. Extendivite is designed to strengthen the heart and arteries and help the body heal itself. Doctors are not able to explain the improvements they are seeing in their patients' health who are taking Extendivite. People who once needed more pills are now taking less and getting better. Due to the unexplainable improvements in their patients' health, more doctors are calling to order Extendivite for themselves. Help Extendivite make your doctor a believer. Extendivite is available in capsule or liquid form for just $69.95 for a 2-month supply. To get started, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
3 stupid mistakes turned into shootings. I'm Peter Serafine with another Liberty Minute. In the span of 6 days, there have been 3 shootings, one of which was deadly, because of innocent mistakes. 2 cheerleaders were shot in the parking lot of a Texas grocery store on Tuesday when they accidentally got into the wrong car. On Saturday, a group looking for a friend's house in New York pulled into the wrong driveway, where one of the group was shot to death by the homeowner. Last Thursday, in Missouri, a teenager was shot when he went to the wrong house looking for his twin brothers. Now, I own guns and rarely leave my house without one. I believe in the Second Amendment, but there is a responsibility that goes with the right to bear arms. Get trained, and not just once. Continue training. It is trigger-happy people like these that will cause us all to lose our right to keep and bear arms. Use code LIGHTHOUSE at protectwithbear.com to protect your legal rights as a gun owner and get free training videos for members. Find more news and commentary at liberty-lighthouse.com. Until next time, si vis pacem, parabellum.
Did you know the IRS publicly admits that income tax is collected by voluntary compliance? Get the information you need to help you avoid income tax with these 5 easy steps. All you have to do is go to avoidincometax.com to get your 5 easy steps on how to avoid the IRS income tax. Escape the IRS. Let avoidincometax.com help you. We guarantee our 5 easy steps or your money back. Go to avoidincometax.com.
I am so sorry. I have been talking to myself with the mute on. I'm Jenna Shputis, filling in for Ingrid Krassel and Tony Pantelleresco, who has been a very strong support in my life. I've been listening to him for a decade now, and I indeed have a nano bucket. He has come up with various methods to disperse of nano in the body. So, Tony, please, can you elaborate? How does nano get in the body, and how do you get it out?
Now, if you get in the body just by breathing it in, eating, drinking, injection, water. You know, there's over 2,000 products that now are nano, drugs, health foods, supplements. Anything that says nano delivery or is on a nano scale can get in. It has 4 different identifiers: angstrom, monatomic, nano, and ultrafine. If you see any of these designations, you know you're dealing with things on a nano scale, 10 to the minus 9th. When I got afflicted, I got hit. I was also dealing at the time with voice to skull. So as I got hit and it got activated, we all have it in us. Everybody has nanotechnology in them. Doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what your lifestyle is. This affects everybody, old and young, old and new. DK2 told me that I couldn't win, surrender, give it up. And I'm one of these guys that believes in the living God, and I grew up in a very hardcore lifestyle, and so that was the wrong thing to say to me. I just said, basically, if I'm going to go, I'm taking you with me, and I'll escort you to his throne. That was the end of the DK2 for a short time. And then I was using everything I knew under the sun herbally, because I'm a herbalist. I also work with orthomolecular. I also work with food sciences and aromatherapy. Nothing I was using touched it, nothing. And because it's an operating system. So the only thing that kept me on my seat was glucose iodine. So when 9396 contacted me, told me, he said it was like, it's nano bud, and so we started talking. I told him I don't know what it is. I don't think you do either, but I'm willing to look at it. So, because at the time, agrobacterium was the day, which was completely wrong. And even the word gallons identifier is completely wrong. So anyway, because it's the nanoparticles that alter the proteins or the peptides in any life and cause the mutations that we see today. So the researcher that was looking at that didn't look at it from a causality perspective. He looked at it from a systemic perspective. So anyway, one thing led to another, and I started doing research, and I started kind of saw something. Then I decided to create an EMP, a little mini EMP, using the bucket, and all of a sudden started seeing stuff coming out. So that led to that, and led to a triangle, and later on led to a surge and purge, led to the spike, and then now we're at the double barrel bucket. So,
excuse me, I'm sorry.
5 things out there that anybody thinks.
Oh, Tony, we're coming up to a break. Yes, we are here. We're going to take a short break and come right back. Sorry about that.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
My name is John. I'm the founder of Blackout Coffee, and I started Blackout because I really love coffee. I've always loved coffee, and after traveling so much to Europe, South America, and trying so many different coffees that were so good, and every time I came back to the U.S., I was so disappointed with the coffee, so I figured that I had to do something about it. The biggest difference is on the beans and the roasting process, how we roast it, and how fresh it is. The fresher the roast, the better the quality. Here I have like all of the coffee. It's roasted within 1 to 2 days prior to being shipped. So it literally gets to consumers' house within 3 to 5 days after being roasted. If you like coffee, you have to try ours. It's fresh roasted. It's one of the best beans that we can get, and you will definitely see the difference.
Visit blackoutcoffee.com and use the coupon code REPUB10. That's REPUB10.
Find your inner rebel at Dixie Republic, the world's largest Confederate store, located in Travelers Rest, South Carolina. The anti-white, anti-Christ, anti-Southern world ends at the asphalt. Welcome to God's country. Log on to DixieRepublic.com to view our Southern merchandise, from flags to T-shirts to artwork. At the store, browse through our extensive collection of belt buckles and have a custom-made leather belt handcrafted in our Johnny Rebs Gun and Leather Shop. That's DixieRepublic.com, where you can meet all of your Southern needs.
Support those that support the network. Support Dixie Republic at DixieRepublic.com. Email ProudSouthern123@gmail.com and let them know that RBN sent you.
Have you been looking for a trusted long-term storable food company? We have a solution for you. Simply Clean Foods is dedicated to providing the best quality food you can buy next to fresh from a farmer's market. Our line of resealable fruits, vegetables, and meats are suitable for everyday use, and you won't have to worry about throwing away valuable groceries ever again. Our food is completely GMO-free, and our stringent quality controls, plus testing for heavy metals, makes us unique in the storable foods market. Simply Clean Foods' primary focus is to bring clean food to people all around the world and change the way we look at freeze-dried food in our daily cooking. When you purchase from Simply Clean Foods, not only will you be receiving high-quality food, but you will also be supporting veterans in need across the country and those who are affected by natural disasters.
Go to republicbroadcasting.org and click on long-term food storage in the rotating sponsors banners to support RBN.
Simply Clean Foods. Do it today.
Welcome back, everyone. This is Jenna, and I'm filling in for Ingrid Castle. Tony, a question came up. Is it people with higher immune systems that are more susceptible because they have a higher immunity and their bodies react in further ways?
No, it has no bearing. Has no bearing. Basically, we're all saturated with this. It's all a matter of a lottery. You know, and when you get turned on or you get activated, and again, depending on what region in the world you live in, there'll be some similarities and some slight variations depending on the environment you're in. So if you're in a desert environment, you're going to see certain anomalies occur that you may not see, for instance, in another environment that is maybe more wet. Or if you're in a mountainous environment, you may see certain things there that you may not see, say, for instance, in a completely different environment. So, but everyone has this stuff in them, everybody. You've got quadrillions of these things in the air. Okay, we don't have trillions, we have quadrillions. And every time they run a stream, you got a 22, 23-hour window and that hits the earth, and now there's been all kinds of anomalies that have happened. We're seeing things that are now, we're seeing a lot more mimetics that are activating, becoming active as weather changes or as things get warmer or cooler. Someone had collected some snow, they melted it, and all they saw was a huge array of nanobots moving in the bottom of the beaker. So we all have it. It has nothing to do with your immune system. It's like I said, it's all about saturation and activation.
Now, in on your website, I was looking at some microscopic pictures of plants that had some integration of nano in it, and you had a comment next to it, and you're like, it looks like lime. Now, with people that feel or think that they've been diagnosed with Lyme, I'm pretty sure you've been saying, there's no, it's not Lyme, it's all nano. Like most diseases today are caused by nano.
I'd say 100% of them. I'd say 100% of everything that we're affected today is by epigenetics. So anything that's anything that's environmental that can affect your genetic code is causing all these issues. And the nano, for instance, is causing the Alzheimer's and the dementia and the Parkinson's. Brain reacts just like any other organ in the body with an immune response. So what happens is when the particles bypass the blood-brain barrier, they run into the brain's immune system, which again produces proteins in order to bind with this material. But then what happens is it turns those proteins into what they call a ligand. The ligand then is utilized by the nanos to create the assembly it requires to have a foundation, and then it proceeds to network into the brain, causing a variety of conditions. The cancers are caused by a lot of the carbon nanotubes, that carbon C60 crap that they sell. It actually can produce cancer, high levels of cancer, and the shame with this stuff is that you pee it out. Well, you don't pee it out. I've got research and studies showing it doesn't come out. And the reason why they mixed it with an olive oil is to mask the carbon, so that what you're seeing coming out is the olive oil. So it networks into the system, networks into the brain, networks into the spine, and it initiates a superconductive material, and it literally drains your biological voltage from your system. It's using you to power it up.
Well,
So I know that you've been offering health tips, protocols for food, because a lot of the pathways in the physical body, like fungus, bacteria in the body, in some of your protocols, you're supportive of a high fat diet, lots of oils, things that could collect and carry things out of the body. Is that a way to strategize getting this stuff out?
The key to getting it out is first to disengage it. You have to start thinking in operating systems and programs. So when you're talking nanotechnology is not just nanoparticles or nanometals or nanofluorine. This is the composition of these things. But the real thing is these are all operating systems that self-assemble, self-repair, self-replicate. So if you don't shut that process down, you're basically fighting a piston in the wind. It's just the simplest way of putting it. The fats that we're talking about and the agglomeration and aggregation of these things to remove it will only work after you shut them down. So in the last little while, we've come up with some new stuff that actually works even better. Someone's talking about fulvic acid and humic minerals. They don't do nothing except feed the technology. But there is something that will break the carbon bonds. I discovered it accidentally about a couple months ago. When they're cleaning the nanoparticles, they will clean them with certain solutions, but they will not use peracetic acid. Because peracetic acid breaks down graphene. Break it right down. And peracetic acid, anybody can make this at home. It takes about 2 minutes. All you need is white vinegar, not apple cider vinegar, because apple cider vinegar is super loaded with nano constructions all through it. White vinegar you buy at the dollar store, and peroxide you buy at the dollar store. You mix equal parts of each. Add the sum total of the equal parts you're making with the equivalent of water. Add anywhere from 5 to 10 drops in a solution of water. Drink it, and you may see yourself peeing or crapping out fibers. Now, this will only break down what hasn't been integrated in the circuit. Whatever's loose in the body that's still not yet been acquired for construction, it'll break it down. Anything that you've broken down by shutting it off using the technology will wind up again, once you break it down, it's just say Finder, it will then will remove it from wherever it's been embedded.
Okay, thank you. Scott, you're on the line. You're just listening, but do you have any questions or comments? I want to include you in this conversation.
I have some questions and comments. First, I'm looking over that document you sent me, and it brings up these 3D printed, like the articles I'm seeing on our government website, on my government website, is that it's a 3D printed iron oxide that they're getting most of this stuff done with. They say it's permanent, but I'm just wondering if Tony has heard of that stuff, the 3D printed magnetic microfluids. From my understanding, they're doing a lot of this with the iron oxide, and they're about to maybe set up a new internet with this stuff as much as it's. I guess they need so much of it in our bodies, but they're going to set up like Internet of Bodies. I think they call it Web 3. I'm very, very concerned with that it may not just be the jab now that, like I say, our government website says it's in the food, it's in the jabs. They also mention geoengineering. So imagine, like Tony says, it's in the air. I'm just wondering if there's an escape from this. If Tony says we can get this out of our bodies, is there somewhere a person could go? Maybe I think they're trying to set this new internet up first in smart cities. I'm just wondering if Tony thinks there's a way out of that new internet, or if he knows anything about it. From my understanding, most of this technology is for that reason.
I
don't know if that.
Aspect of it,
Go ahead, Tony.
I just think it's only one aspect. The iron you're talking about is what they're coating the graphene, because graphene is not magnetic. Graphene is a diamagnetic. So if you put graphene into a magnetic field, the graphene will actually repel itself away from the field. But you coat it with a iron material or some kind of ferrite material, then you can turn it into a magnetic to be able to do whatever. Where graphene is a superconductor because of the carbon content to it. Any carbon used is a superconductor. So as far as escape, there is no escape. There's nowhere you can really go. I mean, you can go live in a mountain that has high iron content to avoid being hit with frequencies, but if you could disengage this from your body and live off of indoor-grown products, in 3 years, I estimate 3 years, you could be completely free of it. But you'd have to be eating stuff that isn't loaded. You'd have to be breathing air that would be statically, electrically filtered. You'd have to be filtering your water supply. We just did something this week looking at water. I think it was distilled water we were looking at, and it was loaded with nano.
Wow.
So, basically, you got to understand, they've been doing this since 1947. That's when they engaged it. So, when you're looking at, we've had almost, not quite 80 years of this, but the amount of stuff up there right now in the atmosphere has been there so long that now these things have merged and formed brand new components, and they're not even listed in the periodic table. So now we don't even know what nanoparticles we are dealing with, you know. So,
Tony, when I was looking at your site, you had 2 advertisements, one for Viagra and one as a migraine medicine. And I looked at the ingredients, and the first ingredient is colloidal zinc oxide, I think, or maybe it's silicon dioxide. But what would that do?
silicon dioxide is a totally toxic metal. There's nothing good about it. It's been propagated as like a hair growth and nail growth and all this other crap. But silicon dioxide is a material that you have absolutely no mechanism whatsoever to break it down. You have no acid in the body that will break down silica. None. In fact, they're spraying dimethyl or silica, what is it, more something. Can't think of the term, Morpheus form of silica on all the food supply they put in the silos. So all your beans, your peas, your grains that are dry, they're putting that in the food supply already. So you're already getting silica. What silica does is breaks down your DNA. Literally. So and when they're putting it in other things, when you consume, structured water is based off of silica. But what that's doing is basically it's integrating into your body's biofluids to create a circuitry in the fluid. The carbon C60 is designed to hack the central nervous system in the brain. So you can't, and when you put the two together, they're superconductors. And what was it, 9 years ago, they created a synthetic life using silicone and C60. It didn't replicate, it actually reproduced.
Now, just backing up a little bit, nanoparticles are defined as solid colloidal particles that they range in size from 10 to 1,000 nanometers. They are studied and understood to accumulate in the brain, induce trauma, and along with the inability to remember or think. And just on its own, we know that in the body, they reduce the capacity for our bodies to function properly, which really explains our entire world right now, because everything is not functioning in a way that feels right. I also was looking at your site and saw that in all of our waste systems, it seems like every system on this planet is failing in a hard way. And when it comes to waste management and water treatment, they're actually integrating more nano into the water system and waste treatment with like nano gold. I thought I looked at, and you had brought up in our conversation. I'm sorry. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just repeated something you said. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't know that came.
Oh, that's fine. But Tony,
please go ahead, Jenna. Sorry about that.
Oh, no worries. But Tony, in the conversation this morning, you were saying nobody is talking about the integration and the combination of what's in the atmosphere and the bioweapons in the shots, how they're compounding and what the results are. And that is something I did want you to bring up again, if you could.
And we have 4 bioweapons that were released in North America and Europe. AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, and Pfizer. 2 of them have mRNA and 2 didn't. But the 2 that didn't also function just like the 2 do with the mRNA. So what happens when we combine Pfizer with Johnson & Johnson? What happens when we combine AstraZeneca with Moderna? What happens when we combine all 4? Moderna in their research states that in their production of their mRNA that the vaccine had 10 to the 50th power of operating systems in the LNP. Nobody's talking about that. Everyone's talking about graphene, or everyone's talking about all this other crap, but nobody's actually talking about the operating systems. And again, this is the nature of allopathy. They never deal with causality. They always deal with systemic. So when we are looking at the solution to this, okay, there's a theory I have to get it out, but it would require, and again, the common guy won't be able to afford it, but what it would require is to put somebody in an MRI or something of that effect, where you can lock them down in the magnetic field, stopping any assembly or any program or operating system the nano would do. You'd have to target the genetics by hitting it with a high spark charge through the body. You'd have to erase the DNA with a blue beam light or blue ultraviolet light, and then you'd have to use the Yamanaka protocols to reprogram the person with their original DNA. That's the only way you're going to be able to get it out. If these guys, when they're talking and how they're talking, I've only heard one group that actually mentioned the combination of these vaccines. Only one in 3 years. So we're not dealing with just a simple Moderna vaccine. Artificial intelligence, they gave it the capacity to design peptides for biowarfare. It created over 40 million bioweapons using just protein combinations. So basically, it's creating a gain of function with these peptides and programming them. And that's just what everyone's not getting either. We're not just dealing with nano in this regard. We are dealing with a duality of operating systems. You have a genetic operating system and you have a nano operating system. So you have two synthetic biologies interacting and communicating with each other. If you take out the one and you don't take out the other, all you're doing is pissing in the wind. Within a matter of weeks, the person will be right back to square one. And nobody's talking this. Nobody's dealing with this. Nobody is even investigating this. Okay, and I've been way ahead of the curve on this. Even when this first started, I stated that the corona that they were showing us is nothing but a bottom-up fullerene assembly with quantum dots wrapped in protein. That's because that was the illustration they shared. I think it was University of California and some other universities in the United States asked the CDC for a sample of this so-called boogeyman. Nobody had a sample. And what the 7 universities did find was that what was going on at the time was nothing more than the common cold or flu. That the governments and the billionaires decided to embellish, using the time of the year that it was, to embellish this boogeyman that never existed. Okay? There was never any proof or any evidence. There was never any peptide. There was never any metabolite. There was nothing. And they got all these people afraid. And I was listening to something earlier, on my show, we were talking. He said the woman was saying that the corporations and the military-industrial complex never figured that people would have been so easily sucked in. They had no idea that they would have that much of a response. So today, what we're getting sorry?
Well, I was going to say, and offered their DNA with all these PCR tests, because it was years around the globe of people sticking things up their nose and sending them off somewhere voluntarily.
Yeah, they have now a track record of everyone's DNA, so now they can specifically target everybody with specific DNA coding to, for instance, okay, I can come up to you and hug you. Have I been jabbed and I have somebody else's DNA that's in your circle? Just by me hugging you would be enough for it to shed onto you or jump from me to you. And then when you got to the person, or if you hugged, let's say, 3 or 4 people, it would replicate the procedure. And then when it got to the person that it was designed to target, it hugged them, they would drop dead, or they would get violently ill and then die. So this is what they've got. AI right now is designing genetic code. that they can now insert inside of you that the technology will be the actual genetic coding that can be inserted into you, so you can be pretty much taken over any time. That's where this is at. This is where this has gone. So what we're looking at today is we're looking at a lot of theater, a lot of these so-called experts. None of them have it right. Some have one aspect of it that they focus on, but they're not focusing on the duality of the operating system. So until they do, they'll never get it. And to be honest with you, I don't expect that they will get it anytime soon.
Yeah, I understand that. Well, we are coming up to the end of the first hour. What I wanted to accomplish in the second hour are different directions, strategies, solutions, livelihood of how we're going to remove ourselves from, further integration in smart cities. But kind of set a picture of how we will be producing our foods in this environment. And I also want to invite callers for the second half of the hour. So I really appreciate Frank letting us skip that last break. But I want to also acknowledge, Scott, you're in there. Do you have any other questions at this point? We've got a couple minutes.
I don't have questions. I think I know where the operating system is leading. I think this is like I think all our medicine in the future is coming from this nanotech. Like when Tony was talking about the operating system, I think the full operating system is this biodigital convergence. And I left plenty of links regarding that in the chat there.
Yeah, and that
people want to inform themselves of that. They're at the Canada's at the forefront of this, according to our Standards Council, and like I say, the International Electrotechnical Commission, which I left lots of links there too. It seems Canada and the U.S. This International Electrotechnical Commission are in governments all over the world. They're a Standards Commission.
Okay, I hear the music. In Immunize Wisely chat room, Anon 6326 has added those links, so you should go there to harvest those links. And we will be back in just a few minutes.
What would you say if I told you we have a new tool that will increase production and lower maintenance costs for your meat processing company, and it would pay for itself in just 6 weeks?
When pigs fly!
The new Ease Off Model Easy 4 replaces old spring-style carcass droppers and is faster, safer, and more reliable. The Ease Off lowers or lifts 1,000 pounds to or from your rail automatically using our remote control.
Sounds expensive. Can I afford it?
Can you afford not to try the Ease Off? It installs fast with just 3 bolts in place of your current dropper. The effortless operation will reduce fatigue and injuries, speed up your line, eliminate downtime, and increase profit.
How can I order my Ease Off?
Go to easeoff.com, EAZEOFF.com, and hurry, because we are offering $200 off on the new Easy 4 for a limited time. Easeoff.com. We make pigs fly. Cows, too. Ease Off LLC, Summersville, Missouri, 417-932-6419.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Because you can handle the truth.
Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm Janish Putis filling in for Ingrid Castle of Vaccine Truth, who is in the chat tonight. Hi, Ingrid. And we are going to talk further about solutions in this critical time. We are at war. There is a complete assault, and only the people that are aware are the ones concerned enough to look for answers. And I'd like to just volunteer more suggestions on how we are going to maneuver in this time. Tony, this morning you were saying, if people can get out of the city and form like some sort of network, they have to be skilled in electromagnetic defense and things that you know about. But I mean, when you were describing what it looks like to survive outside of the cities, I was kind of overwhelmed. But you might as well overwhelm the audience too.
Well, you know what? This is the way I look at it. Better die free on your feet than enslaved to a chip. That's how I look at it. Going out and being off-grid means a lot more than what people think. Everybody's got this idea we're going to be living like we did in the 1800s, horse and buggy and farming and all this stuff. We're going to be doing something of that effect, but we're going to be doing it a whole lot differently than they ever did. Everything would have to be grown indoors. You'd have to create static air filters. You'd have to create a static discharge or an ionizing filter for the water that you're going to be using. You'd have to produce your own electricity. You'd have to be able to produce EMPs of all kinds of high-level strength. You're going to have to be able to produce static discharging devices that can create major ionic atmosphere so that if you are hit with a swarm or a drone, whether it be a land drone or an air one, you'd have the area so ionized that they couldn't function because you will be in a war. And you're going to have to start, and you're going to have to think you're going to be in a war. They're not going to let you just go out into the wild blue yonder. Canada was given to China under the FIPA that Mr. Harper gave us to China. We got a moron in Ottawa right now that's basically got us in bed with China. So Canada's pretty much sunk. The United States will be the last bastion that will go down. And what they'll do with the United States, and what I'm seeing anyway, is they will regionalize it and split it up. They'll split up Canada as well. Because they're too big to manage. And with the way things have been going, we have seen the enemy, and the enemy is us, meaning that we've seen the enemy, and the enemy is our government. Then our government, they betrayed us. I was just talking on the show earlier, because I talked a lot of times to the General Commonwealth. I talked to Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, UK, Canada, US. And I mention all the time how the Commonwealth countries have been betrayed by our own governments, and they want us off the lands. And then my thinking is they want Chinese want to take everything over. So because they need the land and they need the resources, and Canada's loaded with resources. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing on a near extinction event with those of us that are still here. So anybody that can still think and can function has to look at the off-grid experience is going to require people that can actually live together and work together and keep in mind and keep in the forefront that the enemy that we're dealing with will not be each other, because they basically polarized us so that we've self-isolated ourselves from each other. And It's going to be a whole different way of looking at things, building force fields, building, static discharge units, EMP guns, rail guns. These are the things that's going to stop this technology. These things are built with a carbamide component. They will stop a 50 caliber bullet. Unless you hit them in a vital spot, a power supply, or someplace, they will basically repel a shot. You may knock them down, but they'll get back up. This is what we're dealing with. Okay, this is and the guys that are building these guys, like that Gotzo guy that built Sophia, they are developing these things, and they're making them more and more advanced. They have been fortifying artificial intelligence. What we're looking at right now is artificial general intelligence. All these are just the peripheral of the real AI. The real AI was given its autonomy 9 years ago by the U.S. military. What we're seeing today are the many multi-factions of artificial intelligence that's out there, again, collecting data. And when you start talking that they're now dealing with what I call femto technology, using atoms to alter and to create things from an atomic level, without nano, without anything. They say it's 1,000,000 times more efficient than nano. We're dealing with, like I said, something that's way past whatever we can handle here. So everything is going to be different. A gun is going to be good to have for hunting, you know, and unless you're dealing with a flesh and blood life form, it may offer some defense as well, but you have to also realize that a lot of the flesh and blood life form may actually also be augmented to some sort of super soldier program, which is going on right now. China and the United States are developing some kind of soldier that they've got something from outer space that can handle radiation, so they're trying to genetically merge that with their soldiers. So, you know, when we're looking at transhuman is not what we think it is. Everyone thinks that we're going to become machines. That's not true at all. It's the actual opposite. Machines are going to become us. And when you look at the construct of what they're doing with artificial intelligence and circuitry, it's all based on our physiology. It's all based on our biology. The brains they're going to be using in the future are going to be what they call organoids. These are going to be flesh brains that are going to be integrated with a nano computing system, because the DNA makes it more efficient than what they currently have now. It can store memory, it can run at high velocity speeds. When you're talking, again, AI, it's running at 50 million computations per quantisecond. So we're dealing with something that can outthink us, maneuver us, but you're going to have to really you got to really be on your game. And whoever goes out into the off-grid world is not coming back. You know, there's got to be an agreement that once you leave, there's no return. Because anybody that goes back to whatever they left will bring the rest of the antagonists back with them. So it's not going to be an easy thing, and yeah, it is a little overwhelming, but it can be done. And again, you got to remember, the less tech you have, and again, if you go out there's no cell phone. If you have a computer, it's completely disengaged until you use it just only for either data research or references to figure out how to do things. I'm encouraging people now, any data that you have that's worth its salt, download it or burn it onto disk. The disk can survive an EMP. Your hard drives can't. Your flash drives can't. Put everything on that. Put everything on hard drives, and then again create an EMP-proof box to keep these things in. You're going to need a reader, and you're going to need some sort of very basic computer to be able to read what you've got on these things. Because if you go out there and you bring the data with you, you have a higher chance of surviving whatever is thriving in the environment you're going to be into. Because you're going to need no text, no cell phones. If anyone brings a cell phone, you either shoot them on the spot or you separate, one or the other. Because that's a homing device. Everything that we're looking at today is going to put us in a position where we are severing ourselves from all tech in the sense that we're no longer connecting to any grid. None.
Right. And we're looking at personal skills, personal interest, and having those things as a trading commodity amongst the people that you can actually deal with. Brian and I, we have been dabbling. We're semi-rural in biochar, making charcoal, fire, and water, those basic elements.
Yep.
And there are healing potentials. It's very good for growing vegetables and aerating the soil. there's 55 different uses, including charcoal in a setting mixed with cement actually does block EMFs. And that I thought was very interesting.
Yeah,
Water filtration. Yep.
Yeah. Carbon will block the 6G signal if you got it dense enough. But you can't grow outdoors. That's the thing. Everyone's got to get past this lunacy. If you plant anything outdoors, it will be contaminated with nano. It all would have to be done in an indoor shielded environment because you don't know what's coming down. You have no idea what they're composing up there. You have no idea what composites are in the atmosphere from 70, 75 years of mixing together. You got bacteria up there. We've got bacteria now from the Earth that has left the Earth and gone airborne. That's how dense the air is filled with this stuff. So you're no longer going to be able to farm traditionally. You're going to have to be using things like aquaponics, hydroponics. You know, the idea of growing anything outdoors, it will just be contaminated. And the simplest stuff to do is put it under a microwave, put whatever you're putting under in a plate, put a glass jar over it, and turn the microwave on for 20 seconds, see if it sparks. If it does, you know the thing's loaded. And again, you cannot wash this stuff off. It embeds into the DNA of the plant. Right now, the animals can eat whatever they're eating. You can eat the animals, and the animals will filter out a lot of it. But I have actually spiked my veal. I buy veal, thinking that it's got less of the contamination. I'll spike that for an hour, and you should see the nano that comes out of the veal. So
yeah, and definitely definitely focusing on root vegetables has been really important. Greenhouses are great, and if there is no food, definitely a solution of starting a garden, focusing on the root vegetables for sustenance, and storing those, you know, what commodities you can, a lot of dried milk. But Scott had read in some of his research that biochar was only associated with the opponents of, you know, this climate change world altering movement. But there are 55 known uses, positive attributes. And what's your current opinion of rural occupation free of all carbon credits in what people can do? You know, it's just like just sitting there and waiting it out. There has to be actually some sort of momentum of alternative culture.
You're going to be squatting. You're not going to be able to buy any land because any deed you have will, again, bring people to you. You know, it's going to be like the old Indians used to live. You're going to squat. Now, you have to understand, you're going to be in a planet that's going to have sensors everywhere. And if you're in their 15-minute, whatever, you're going to be picked up. Now, if you don't have the tech on you, you're also going to be picked up. Facial recognition does not require to look at their face anymore. It can do a body read. It can do whatever. If there's any profile on you in their database, they'll be able to identify you. So you won't be able to really be anywhere within any place that's developed. You may be able to find abandoned cities to, again, take over that may have been, you know, forgotten. There may be silos you may find that may have been forgotten. You may have to move in areas where, again, you're not anywhere near anything civil. You're gonna have to be like Sasquatch or SETI. You know, you're gonna live out in the bush, and you're not gonna make any contact because any contact will alert them to the fact that you exist.
Sure.
So as far as having credits and all that crap, you know what? If I'm going into the bush, I'm not letting anybody know where I'm going, why I'm going. I'm gone. I could give a shit about carbon credits. I can give a shit about your taxes. I can give a shit about your system. I'm gone. And that's how you have to think. You're leaving everything behind. You're saying, F it, I'm finished with this system. The system is corrupt to the core. It has to fall. It has to completely come undone. But in the meantime, I don't want to be part of it when it falls apart.
All right. And now I understand, and I also want to address that we do have some callers, and I want to probably turn it around to something that we've got. Oh, okay. We have JW from Oklahoma on the line, and we have a question. Hello, caller. What do you got?
Hello.
Hey, JW, thanks for calling. Do you have a question or comment on the topic we're speaking of tonight?
You guys are on point. This is one of the most probably important things the world has to deal with right now.
Thank you.
We have to deal with the earthly. How do we deal with what God says? And it's here now.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that. And do you have a question?
Yes. If this what you guys are talking about, how do we deal as earthly beings? How do we deal with this and stay?
All right. We thank you very much for that question. We are trying to deal with that. And I do want to move that call on because I understand it it wasn't very clear communication. Thank you so much. I think that we are trying to plot out a strategy with some informed background of what we are dealing with, and realize that no one else is going to be helping us. And our individual life speaks to what our directions are, where our interests are, and where we can find people that we can work with, because it wouldn't be fun to be doing this all on your own. And I, for one, want to invite Scott for some of your insights into some of the conversations that you're having at your bookstore.
I'm speaking to everybody I know, everybody I meet, not just at the bookstore. I meet the majority of people there, but everybody I see on the street, every store I go to, even made pamphlets with the information showing them the policy arms in our government. The majority of people that look at this information feel there's no ethics involved. It doesn't matter if they've taken no shots or 6 shots. Once they're shown the proper information, they seem to wake up to some level to the point where they think there's no ethics. If people were concerned on concentrating on those people rather than the awake ones, I think there might be some way to slow this down, or at least grow larger. At least the community. If people were trying to break societies or whatever, we would grow larger. I have people just supporting me that have taken 4 shots.
Scott,
just supporting me because of what I'm telling people.
Scott, we're gonna just take a short break. We'll pick that up on the other side.
Yeah.
Do you truly want to stay out of the system? Are you prepared to buy into the biggest scam since the Iraqi dinar? If not, then put your money where it belongs, in your possession, not in the hands of an international MLM cartel. At Kettle Moraine Limited, we will provide you with the finest Swiss minted detachable gram sheets of pure 24-karat gold for hundreds of dollars less than the so-called privately issued credit cards with elusive gold backing. Gold backing? The only gold that I want is in my back pocket, not backed by promises of an operation even the U.S. Chamber of Commerce is suspect of, giving a rating of C-. To get the full story, visit Sierra Madre PreciousMetals.com and go to the Valcombe Bullion Vault. Once you have read the whole story about the scam being perpetrated on an unsuspecting public and how you can avoid being a victim by purchasing these beautiful, barterable, tradable sheets of gold at tremendous savings and in the strictest of privacy, be prepared to take the steps to protect your wealth with the purchase of the real deal. Detachable 50-gram gold bars from Kettle Moraine Limited by calling 602-799-8214. Ask about our 1-ounce Valcombe detachable bars, which break into 1/10 ounce bars. And don't forget, for all of your precious metal needs, whether buying or having the need to sell, call Kettle Moraine Limited. Remember, no dinar, no celery, and no carrots. If you buy from someone else, tell them you want AU, not BS. Call Kettle Moraine Ltd. today at 602-799-8214. Kettle Moraine Ltd. 602-799-8214.
Einstein once said, "Future medicine will be the medicine of frequencies." What did he know? Imagine you hear ocean waves caressing a beach, or a favorite song from the past, or the trickle of the babbling brook. All of these are sound frequencies that positively affect us. Terahertz is a soothing, healing frequency that has been proven to resonate at the same frequency as healthy cells. It penetrates the body and stimulates new, healthy cell growth. Want to diminish muscle aches, joint pains, and experience a greater sense of well-being? Tired of spending money on short-term remedies that never seem to work? Soothing, healing, relaxing terahertz frequency is now available and as handy as flipping a switch. Terahertz technology is changing the course of what we were taught about how to maintain our health and well-being. To read more about this amazing breakthrough and to order your terahertz frequency wand, go to NaturalEarthMedicine.com. That's NaturalEarthMedicine.com.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Jenna Shaputis, and I am speaking with Tony Pantelleresco and James Scott Mackillop. And we are talking about strategies because both of my guests are highly informed and up to date on what is happening on this planet. It is Earth Day, and we have covered the gamut in the onslaught, and we are seeking out remedies, livelihood choice, and direction, knowing what we know. And we do have some callers, but I do want to remind all the callers that it needs to be on point because we don't want to waste any time here. Question or comment on point from Chance in West Virginia.
Question. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Chance. How are you tonight?
Okay. I have a question for one of your guests. I can't recall which one it was, but I mentioned Lugol's iodine. Oh, I'd say about a little over a year ago, I bought 4 ounces of Lugol. Now, I think it was to cleanse and purify drinking water and for nuclear fallout. I'd like to know what the guest used it for and in what dosage he used it for and for what purpose.
You got that, Tony?
only heard part of the question. I don't know. He's asking about Lugos iodine, but I didn't get the rest of it.
He wants to know what do you use it for and how do you use it?
I use it for everything. I used it at the time to keep me alive. Because the nano had broken me down pretty bad. I was using usually maintenance dose is about 4 drops once or twice a day in water. That's 5% solution. For maintenance, for therapeutic, you're using 20 drops in a glass of water 3 times a day, and you're taking it with selenium and magnesium to offset any heart palpitation that may occur.
Yeah, see, now when I bought it, I think I bought it for the reason for cleansing and purifying drinking water. Is that correct? And for nuclear fallout, I believe it helps.
Oh, yeah, it does do those things. It does a variety of things, you know. It has an anti-aging aspect to it. It has a brain-boosting function to it. It has an immune system function to it. If you're a type of person that feels cold, you're looking at the overall immune system. It works.
Okay, all right. That's
what cold, and you get cold very quickly. If you use it for a short period of time, it'll make you more resistant to the cold. You don't feel it as much. So
okay, see, that's what.
Properties.
Yes, sir. See, that's what I was driving at. I bought it, and I can't remember why I bought it. I've had it for so long. Oh,
thank you so much. Okay, thank you so much, Chance. Chance, we've got a really bad connection, so we're going to move on to Andy in Texas.
Hello?
Andy in Texas, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing good. You guys got me? You can hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, so no. You were talking about tolerance. You were talking about, feedback, doing stuff. It appears to me that the world has decided that we're gonna hit this stuff one-on-one, one at a time, because we can't get any groups together. And even France can get a group of people together to go do some stupid stuff to get attention and show that they're doing something. We can't even do that. And when that does happen in our country, it's usually Antifa or BLM. And so, yes, the wonderful stuff is the things that you guys are talking about, stuff that could help people. But everybody's going to be an individual, and they're just not going to listen or do exactly what they need to do. It's a very confusing time to be alive. Would you agree?
The enemy is going to the enemy will force that issue. They're thinking in terms of here and now, and I agree with you. Right now, you're not going to get people to cooperate. But when you got a machine beating down your door, you got something coming at you that is advanced technology. That's going to adversity will force unity. Always does.
Okay, we are coming up on a break, and we will be right back in just a couple minutes, and we'll take another caller right after that. Thanks.
The truth.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network. Real news, real talk, real people. Because you can handle the truth.
Are you one of the millions of people who feel like there is a dark cloud hanging over their heads whenever they're using pharmaceutical drugs? For some, the short-term relief can turn into an opioid addiction nightmare. Have you ever wondered why CBD oil is a billion-dollar industry? It's because it works better than opioids and is actually healthy for you. However, CBD oil is stripped of all other helpful compounds found in the hemp plant. According to neuroscientists, the whole hemp plant, otherwise known as hemp paste, is even more effective than the chemically processed CBD oil. Are you ready to take back your health? You can try hemp paste for the price of a cup of coffee.
Hemppaste.com/RBN. Free shipping on orders over $50. See the banners for hemp paste at republicbroadcasting.org and visit hemppaste.com/RBN.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll-free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Are you sick of censorship? TLB Talk is the cure. TLB stands for Truth, Liberty, and Balance. We are the newest and most unique social media platform to hit the internet. We were built out of necessity because big tech, big pharma, and big brother are out of control. The only thing bigger than them is when we, the people, are united. With that vision, TLB Talk was born. Our battlefield is in cyberspace. The battle we're in can be won by clicks of buttons and voting with your wallet. TLB Talk has no hidden agendas, no corporate funding, and we do not sell, trade, or give away any of your information. Our platform runs off of generous donations of members and merchandise profits. So please, check out our site. It's the best around. And be sure to stop by our store. It's loaded with items that'll have you feeling a sense of member pride and victory. Come unite with us today at tlbtalk.com and join the social media revolution.
Welcome back, everyone. We are talking with Tony Pantelleresco and James Scott Mackillop. Scott and ourselves, we have been trading information back and forth and generally giving out posts of guidance in understanding how this big picture global network and communitarian tentacles have reached into all collectivized endeavors, including religions. So I just want to give that mention that, you know, there isn't going to be any benevolent collectivized endeavor to join like an eco village or an intentional community that will be clear, you know, because if they're on the web, they're part of the problem. So I want to remind our callers that we're going to stay on topic, keep it short. We've got Dave in New York.
And he spoke about cold fusion, and I sent him some information on that. It was very interesting controversy, but one of you two were talking about the evidence for whether SARS-CoV-2 doesn't exist or exists as a virus or whatever, and you mentioned there were no metabolites. I wonder what specifics you have that indicate that that this does not exist and there are no metabolites. Which specific metabolites are you talking about?
Any virus or any protein will leave a metabolite. They never had any proof. Nobody ever found it. USA never found it. Canada never.
What protein are you talking about? What protein are you talking about?
Viruses are proteins.
Well, no, there's a protein coat. It was glycopeptides in the capsid, but the inside was mRNA.
You're talking semantics here. They never found any biomarker. Let's go this way. They never found any biomarker that it even existed, and it didn't exist. This was all being used. They were utilizing frequencies to create the dynamic. And when people took these jabs, that's when they got infected. Like I said, you had 7 universities in the United States alone, top universities, MIT, UCLA, one in Texas. There were like 7 of them. None of them could find it. China couldn't find it, amazingly. Japan couldn't find it. South Korea couldn't find it.
They couldn't find what, Tony? What specifically couldn't they find?
Dave, we're not going to get it.
He's not going to get specific, so we're not going to know what he's talking about. Is that what you're saying? I mean, I'm asking clear questions.
You're the one getting. They couldn't find the protein biomarker indicating that the virus even existed.
What protein biomarkers are you talking about specifically?
Because they didn't exist. Dave, we're not going to go there. I have heard you call in and want to rile up in a direction that's off topic.
I'm not trying to rile anyone up. I'm asking very specific questions, very honestly, and I'm not getting any answer. So if you could find the information, I'd love to hear it.
Saying semantics here, bud.
It's not semantics at all. You have identified no molecules. I'm a chemist.
You don't even know
Tony,
what a virus
I'll talk to you later. I got your number. I can call you up. Thanks.
Okay, sorry about that. We're going to move on.
I get these all the time, too.
You do. Well, good on you. And yeah, water off a duck. Good for you.
I mean, these are people, like you said, they're basically trolls. They think they know something, and they think because they follow the media, and they don't know how to think for themselves. The guy doesn't even know what a virus is, doesn't know what a protein is, doesn't know what a biomarker is, and he's trying to come off here like he has some kind of, that he has some information or that he is intelligent. He has no intelligence. So again, when you got some of the major universities in the United States that couldn't find any trace of this whatsoever, and then you're hearing nurses that were involved in the nurses that were involved in New York City. There was a nurse from Oklahoma. She was eyewitnessing that the people were dying from the treatment that they were giving. They weren't dying from anything that had to do with a virus. And even the PCR test, after the 17th test, they become completely useless. They are testing people 40 and 50 times to get some results. So none of it was validated. And then you look, wait till the next fake pandemic comes along. People will line up, like guys like him will line up around the block wanting 2 shots.
Right.
It's just the way. It's just the way the mentality of people are. They have no idea, because most people are not really educated. They follow whatever they see on the media, whatever the news tells them is what they go by, and they don't have the capacity to think for themselves. They don't, like I said, doesn't even know what a virus is, doesn't know what a protein is, doesn't know what a metabolite is, has no idea. So when I threw these terms on, this is why he hung up, because now he's got to go look up what I was talking about.
Right. Yeah. I think this is a perfect example, again, of that Hegelian dialectic. They create the problem. Then there's a reaction that they're steering with media and all sorts of control. And then they come up with the solution, and here it is. And that's how they keep moving, like the masses and society, through problem, reaction, solution, and the mind control. Go ahead.
Add fear to that, because I think this is what they've done. We have people here still wearing the mask for absolutely no reason. I never wore a mask the whole time this was going on. Nothing. Didn't use any solution in my hands, because I looked at the chemical composition of those solutions. They were designed to cause kidney and liver failure. The mask is designed to increase carbon dioxide poisoning by a factor of 40%. It would hyper-accelerate the emotional part of the brain, and the brain damage is irreversible. So when they had everybody do this is again designed to, brain damage them, make them more conducive, more submissive to the authorities that will tell them whatever they want to do, and they'll march them right over a cliff, and they will gladly walk over it.
Scott, you have given 2 hours to this program. Do you want to get a chance to comment at this point?
Yeah. I still think something can be done about this, believe it or not. If people got off the subject of stuff like COVID, and, well, not so much COVID. If people started talking about this biodigital convergence and this new economy that's coming in, I'd say I talk to everybody about this. They are interested. Everybody. It's very few people that are interested in talking about this. The only ones that don't seem to be interested in talking about it are involved in the science in some way. I do have people coming in the store here that are definitely involved in this. When I bring it up to them, they want to run out the door. The regular people all want to talk about this, and they all have questions regarding it. And they all wonder why they don't know about that policy arm I continuously talk about. They have questions regarding all of it. And I just figure that when this new economy does come in, I think it's coming in this year. I think we're in the transition phase right now, in the transition year, where a lot of new things are coming to play. And I think when this economy comes in, whether it's in the States with the Federal Reserve, CBDC, or Canada's, or in the European Union, that it all depends on our reaction to that. And if there's one time to find unity, it would be then. If we had the correct information and the right places to focus on our government, we could change a few things. Of course, it's not going to change the future of science with this new Web3 and They're not going to give up on this. But maybe some people will give up on the technology that's in their hands. Maybe some focus where I truly feel we got the conversation going regarding the policy arms in our government and the government organizations responsible for this, and we all have them, no matter whatever government we're in. I seem to be able to find them quite easily. If we were focused on that rather than focused on running away or focused on what we're going to do, I think we got to face this head on. I'd much rather die on my feet fighting this than running off into the woods. But
okay, let me ask you a question.
I don't know.
One Canadian to other. You're putting your faith that we can still work within the system to make a change. I disagree with you. When they shut down the trucker strike, you know why they shut it down? Because China and the United States exerted pressure on Ottawa to shut it down because they were losing billions of dollars. We had outside interference in our affairs in Canada. That's why they shut it down.
I disagree with all that because I was at the truckers' convoy. I was there.
I'm telling you the reality of it. Within a week, because I got the information.
I told people, I'll tell you the reality, that was a scam, and that I told people before the convoy even started that if they donated to that, they'd lose their money and be involved in a lawsuit with a business that's underneath me. Now, all that happened.
Wait,
not
slow down.
one of them were willing. None of them. No, I'm talking now. Tony got to talk for a while. Now,
okay, yeah, go ahead.
I am the only person. I went down to the truckers' convoy, and I tried to put focus on the policy arm. They did not want to do it. You want to know why? Because it was part of the scam. It's part of the scam to bring in this new economy and bring in these new rules. Now, all part of the scam. The people on the top are part of the scam in that convoy. None of them wanted to fight the policy arm. They wanted to fight Justin Trudeau. These are policy arms that have been in our government for 30, 40, 50 years. It's all that was a scam.
But they were
all a scam. Nobody thought nothing there. They brought this in.
By
the
government.
I do believe that I'm sorry. I need to just.
Now, if you want to go run away from this and not help your friends or family or help da-da-da, that's fine. Run away from it.
Okay, hold on, everyone. I'm
those
sorry.
People.
Okay, I hear you, and I also hear that we've got James in Vancouver.
Giving up on all those people. The only ones willing to talk about this conversion.
We have another third candidate.
Real human connection are people I'm seeing every day. And
Yes.
Jenna. That's
yeah,
it.
thank you.
That's
Okay,
it.
and we've got a good one. We've got another Canadian on the line, James in Vancouver. I know he knows about communitarianism and the big picture. So James, jump in.
Yes, ma'am. I've been working in genetic engineering for about 25 years now. There never was a COVID-19 virus, okay? I've been saying that since about 100%. March of 2020. Okay? Now, the good people of Canada often don't understand that when Washington says jump, Ottawa says how high, okay? We don't have, right? So I'll just let you guys go with that. And there was no COVID virus. It was never properly identified. There's ways to identify it using blood gas techniques. None of that was done. Everybody was scammed out of their mind. Okay, thanks kindly.
Wait, James, you have...
Yeah, what?
Well, I mean, you do understand, you've been listening to RBN for quite some time, and the relationship with the international communitarian movement. Do you can you see that in Canada and elaborate to our guests?
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly how it happens, ma'am. A 16-year-old kid now can go to his doctor or her doctor and say, I think I'm tired of it all. I want to end it. And they get some signatures from doctors. They wait 90 days. And then they're whacked, okay? This is how it's going. That's your communitarianism, what they're doing, okay? Was that for the good of everybody, for the good of the people, or what is it, the good of the many? Go ahead.
Yeah, the common good. Yep,
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah, and I feel that I do feel that inherently the individual state of life is like tearing at every morsel of people to tear apart that sense of autonomy, independence, and joy in our being, because we are all here for a purpose, and they're trying to redesign the common purpose and the one size fit all. Yes.
Well, you take these technologies, recombinant DNA, and all of what they're talking about, and the Neuralink, what's his name, that Elon Musk wants to do. That's like giving nitroglycerin to children, okay? The backscatter is going to be phenomenal. It's already here, but it's going to be, if they do this kind of crap, it's going to be even worse. So I'll let you guys go.
Thank you, James.
You're very welcome. I know. Thanks, James.
Okay, we do have Pat in Fort Worth.
Hi. Yes. I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate what y'all are doing. I mean, this is like right down the way I've been looking at everything and trying to tell everybody, if you want anything, you better right now put it on a thumbnail drive and get it printed out. Do whatever you have to do. Put it on a disc, because they're already messing with our cell phones. By listening to people out there, you know, their emails, none of your emails went through. None of them. One at a time. Okay? And they're putting things on this here cell phone 2 at a time. I don't know what all that is, because it's a Chinese damn phone. Motorola is a Chinese phone. And what I want to know is, if the wind, they can't tell which way the wind's going to blow. So why would they want to start a nuclear war when God just might turn it around and blow it all back on them? But, you know, they're that stupid. Let's put it that way. They're that stupid to think that, oh, well, we're immune now. We're taking enough. Thanks, Chance. That was a good question. We're taking enough iodine. It's not going to bother us. And we don't care how many people of our own that die and all that. But I just, from Earth Day and everything, I was there on the first Earth Day, and I saw people worshiping the earth. I saw it. I think it was on Easter. They did that instead of acknowledging Jesus. I'm 80 something years, 81, almost 81 years old, and
Yes.
there
You
does
re-
that seen that. Mhm. So
well,
so
I really appreciate your perspective and how you have seen these changes, and you recognize that the religion has turned upside down, and the Gaia worship
Right.
is
Right.
associated with all
Right.
of it, with all of it. Yeah.
And I hate to say this, but on Four Winds 10, I don't know if y'all ever heard of that. There are people on there who literally think that human beings can get immune to any of this bothering them. Could that be how those Chinese are thinking, and the people that are behind this mess? That we will mutate to where we can take all this graphene oxide and won't do anything to us, and all this mRNA. Do you think that people really, that's a new religion?
They're believing in something what they call transhumanism, which again is a misinterpretation. This is about machines becoming people, but the way they're talking about incorporating technology into people so that they would be able to live longer and think faster and react better. But that's all sales pitch. And mRNA is not the only thing they put into those jabs. There was tRNA, siRNA, xRNA, a whole variety of nucleic acids they put in there. And the LNP itself was the operating system that they dumped the program that the AI designed in those peptides. So you can't, the third shot that they gave people inserted a third strand DNA. And also they incorporate 12 HIV proteins. The DNA is pretty much shot. There's no return. And even the Pfizer documentation tells you that once you get the third one, there's no going back. The first one that they gave designed the program, the RNA, to develop an immune response to the corona, but nothing else. The second injection they gave people was designed to basically shut down the DNA's immune response, and the third one was basically to insert the third strand DNA. Whatever they've got in the fourth and fifth, that I don't know for sure. But the way it is right now, those people who have gotten the third jab, as far as I know about genetics and with nanotechnology, there is nothing that can be done with them unless you go through a process that I mentioned. And again, that's speculation because I haven't had a chance to actually do anything with it because I don't have the resources to do it. But you have to literally erase two operating systems at the exact same time, and then you'd have to erase the one operating system and then reboot the DNA with another process that a Japanese researcher developed. So
well,
their idea is to turn people into a technobot.
There are foods that I'm glad you mentioned magnesium, and people need to look up foods high in magnesium, like pinto beans. Really, it works. I know I have an irregular heartbeat, and if my magnesium gets low, according to my calcium, then I can feel it on my pulse. And pinto beans, and you know, you can keep all this. If they get bugs, well, just wash the bugs out and eat them anyway, you know, or sprout them in your window until you have green things. I mean, it's a lot of I wish we had a whole show every day talking about this, what the things that we can do in case of. See what I mean? But y'all are doing a real good job, and I beg people to try to come and listen to it, but now I'm going to tell them to go back and listen to it. I appreciate it so much. Okay, I'll let you go. But if Dave from New York calls, just conveniently cut him off. He's probably on the payroll. He always takes about 15 minutes.
Thanks, Pat. I really appreciate it.
You. I started to hang up. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Okay, we're reaching the end of the hour, and I think we do have I'm not too sure if we're taking a break, but any final words from our guests? And if I want to mention, someone in the chat just said, James, you're the man. Thanks for commenting and calling in. And thanks for all the people that have called in. I would like to invite our guests. Any final comments? Tony.
I don't know what to say. I mean, comment. I don't know what. I don't know what you wanted me to comment on. I pretty much said everything you need to say. I don't really know what to say.
Oops. Oh, no worries. No worries. Scott, did you want to have a final comment?
My final comment is that this all originated from a U.S. biohacking law that started in California in June 2019 to be implemented in January 2020. That's what I got to say. That started all this.
And it is moving towards the central digital bank currency. And it may or may not be happening for a couple of years, but you were saying in Canada, the Canadian government was saying that the CBDC was coming in 2023. So as we wait for the other shoe to drop, we do need to understand and come to terms with our own sense of security. You know, what is it that makes us secure? Is it the bank account? Is it the house? Is it, you know, I think this is putting it all on ourselves to make good with what we've got in this life and make the best of it and make good choices in associating with others, because, you know, they might be the one in the foxhole with you. I think, I'm getting a note from what?
You know, Jenna?
Yes?
Jenna, you know the Federal Reserve announced the CBDC back in November, right?
Oh, that's right.
Pilot
Yeah.
project. We're
Yes.
at the last phase. Yeah, okay.
And you know what? I did go ahead and look in our state's CAFR, the comprehensive annual financial report, and I'm seeing that there's a substantial investment in world equity bonds and also supranational investments, which is international, and also iMoneyNet, an upside down I money net. And I'm like, well, that's probably going to be Washington State's digital currency. That's all of course they're not telling us ahead of time, but if people were to look at in the United States anyway, the CAFR, you'll see where all that money is going, and it's not going towards the people. They're just being taxed up the yin yang. I'm seeing another comment here. How many people Tony has helped on his channel with his health benefits? Tony, for the past 10 years, you have helped me through a lot of hard times, if you know it or not, and I want to thank you. You are salt of the earth, and I really appreciate turnaround of a day, any email. I really appreciate everything that you've done for us.
I try, eh? I mean, like I said, I'm working with a group of 10 people, 11 people, and we've been working together on different things, and one of the guys in the group is taking the double-barrel bucket, now he's evolving that technology. So now I'm waiting on his findings to see what he's getting, he's doing something a little different. But again, what we've also done is put everything on BitChute. It's all for free. You go make the things yourself. If you don't want to, then again, we can make them for you.
Is it Tony Are you Tony Pantelleresco on BitChute?
No, BitChute.com, and type in independence. There's about 28 different vids there showing you how to make things against target individuals, people that want to get the nano, whatever. It's all there.
Thank you, Tony. We're at the end of the show.
Standing 6'4", weighing in 245 pounds of crime-fighting, political science analyzing brawn. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Patrick Slattery.
So Mike, get off this anti-cicada agenda.
I'm a born-again traditional Christian.